Hello and welcome to the second in the series of videos demonstrating the use of CardStudio. In this video, we will go through the process of creating a new card design. But before you start that, it's always useful to have some information readily to hand. So you need to know, are you creating a dual-sided or single-sided card? What is the orientation of the card? If you're using any graphics or logos, where are they located on your PC? Is there a need to put text onto the card? Is there a requirement then for that text to be in a particular font size and font type? These are all questions that you need to have answers for and to have the information associated with those answers readily to hand. So we'll start by clicking here on the new card design, and this then immediately presents us with a new window where we can enter a name for the card. So it would need to be a descriptive name, could be University ID 6, or could be staff ID or corporate ID, something that would allow you to identify it again at a later date. We can select the card size. So we would generally use either a CR80 for the ZXP series printers or the ZC series printers, and then perhaps the ZC10L card size if we are working specifically with that printer. We need to, as I said, to know whether we're doing single-sided or dual-sided printing. We are going to do single-sided. We need to know whether we're going to do any mag stripe encoding, because that is information is programmed or sent through the driver, and then whether the card is going to be color or monochrome. You can see, because I've selected single-sided, this bottom information is now grayed out and unavailable to me. So I am going to print a color card. The specialty box, this checkbox here, is applicable if the ribbon you're using in your ZC350 printer has one of the specialty panels. And in a later video, we'll look at modifying the card design and introducing then the specialty layer. The next step is to decide whether the card should be printed in landscape or portrait, and ours is going to be landscape. When we've set everything here, we just click Create Card Design. And here is our card design. As I mentioned in the video discussing the user interface, these are the grid lines, and we can turn them on or off here. If I wanted to, I could change the distance between the lines, so they're now much further apart. Here again, as I mentioned in the user interface video, I can zoom into the card. I could zoom into a particular section of the card if I wanted to, a top corner or something. Or here I can set it to a specific zoom value. So we'll go for 200% and move the card into the center here so we can see everything. On the right-hand side here, we can see a preview of the card. So what would it look like if it were printed? And at the moment, the card is blank. Under card settings, we can see the setup of the card, and we can go here and change things. We could change the orientation, we could introduce the specialty layer, or we could make it dual-sided. If we create any, or if we need to use dynamic fields, we would create them here, and then when we go on to the videos covering Print Studio, we will see how to link those into the database. Any of the elements that we've added onto the card design, when we select them, their properties would then appear down in this section. So we'll start by adding a graphic onto the back, onto the card as a background. So select image element, drag and drop, or drop and drag it onto the card surface, and then click select element. In my case, I'm going to pick this ID card background. Click open. The next step then is to check because the background image is designed to go on the back of to create a background image for the card. It's already in the right proper or ratio for the sides, but by picking one side and stretching it, I'm going to drag it out of the ratio. So I will select the ratio, and then I will position it into the top left corner of the card. I would then make it the width of the card, so about 86, and you can now see it completely fills the surface of the card. To accidentally stop it being picked up and moved, I can click this little icon here, this padlock icon. That field is now locked and I can't pick it up and move it around. And this is very useful when you're introducing fixed fields onto the card and you don't want them to be picked up and moved around. You must also remember that you can't edit them whilst this padlock is closed. The next thing I want to do is add some fixed information on. So we will select the text field and just click anywhere on here. And then again, you can see the information here where the field would appear, and you can start seeing the card preview being populated with these different fields. If I click the text field here, I can then change the font type over. I can change the size. I can create it as bold, italic, or underline, and then position it to the left, to the center, or to the right of the box. So even though this text seems to be relatively short, the box is much bigger. So the text could be in the center. The text could be in the center of that box, or the text could be to the right or to the left. We can also align it to the top, the middle, or the center. So again, if I make this box bigger, I can align it to the center of the box or to the bottom of the box. These are fairly important as well. This wraps the text around in the box. So if I have a long string of text, if I enable this, then it will automatically wrap the text to fit it inside the width of the box. Using this feature, it will clip the text that's outside of this box. So you do run the risk of losing information. So you need to be careful about which one of these, if any, you have selected. We can select the text color, and we can change it to a dynamic field. There are no dynamic fields created at the moment, but we'll do that a little later. So this field is going to be where we would show where the first name of the card holder appears. So here is first name, and we can see the text there. I will just make the box roughly the size of the text, and I'm going to position it about here. I'm going to add in another field. So I can go through the same process, or I could I could select it and pick edit and copy, and then edit and paste, and there is the same field. And in this case, all I'm going to do is change this over to last name, leave everything else the same. As I said, there are no alignment icons available in CardStudio version 2, and this is where the use of the boxes, of the grid lines, come into effect and can help you align the text. So we have our two fixed fields are going to appear on the card. We're also going to drop another one on, so I will just paste in that field again, and this is going to go over here, and this will be the card ID, the ID number of the card. So I'm going to make that just a little bit shorter, and I will position that about there in my card design. So I now want to have 3 variable fields, one associated with the first name, one with the last name, and then one with the card ID. So if I go to the dynamic fields option here and click the add or plus symbol, I can overtype this with the value for this field. So this will be a first name field. Add in another one. This will be last name field, and then here this will be card ID. So there are my 3 fields that I'm going to add in. We have default options here. You can see it's predominantly for text, for date information, or we can force the text into uppercase or lowercase. I have found that capitalize doesn't really work, so it's important you do that yourself. So now I have the dynamic fields available to me. What I need to do is create fields on the card that I can link to these. So we will have text. So this is going to be the first name field. So with the field selected in the dynamic field, I will click first name, and add will then add it to the end of the string here that says enter text here. So you could delete that information first, then click add. And then add in another field. So add in another text field here. This is going to be the last name field. And again, position it. We then need a third field for the ID. So here is card ID. So all we need to do now is set the font size and type that we want to use. This is going to be a numeric field only. Like that, leave it like that. The one here, the last name, I want it to be in italic black. Obviously need to make sure it will fit in within the confines of the card. This will be just bold, and again I want to make sure it fits in. I need to stop it about there. These, just reposition them slightly, and I may just bring them down the card as well. So there is my layout. The only thing that is missing is the graphic here for the photo that would be applied to the card. So here I'm going to take this passport photo element and click it onto the card surface. So all it needs me to do then is scale it so that it covers or fits inside the white space that I have. And this is it. This is my card design. You can see the little asterisk appears here. This means that the card design has changed since the last save. So if I click save now, it will go away. If I then though pick this up and move it around, you can see the icon has changed or changed back. So I could then undo that and move it back to its position. As I did with the background, what I would do is make these fields fixed so that they don't change. So all the fixed data is now also fixed or locked onto the card. The card ID number I would lock as well. And I think this is good practice when you finalize your card design to lock all this information down. So here is your card design created. The next stage after that would be to do some test printing to see what the card actually prints like. So this will give you a general idea of what the card design would look like, but it's always good to see it actually printed on the card. It may be that there are adjustments you need to make to the printer, perhaps to get a better fill of the card with the image that you're using. So this then is the end of the second video, and thank you very much for taking the time to view it.